Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Thursday night edition of the Real Chat Daddy Show. I am your host, Chat Daddy. Glad to be here with you guys on a rather gloomy Thursday here in the Chicagoland area. We're actually experiencing temperatures right now that are very much into fall, even though it is still officially summer. Today was a little precipitation, and the temperatures have dropped quite a bit. Meteorologists are forecasting that our weather will get better next week, and we will experience more summer-like temperatures, high 70s, possibly 80s next week. But right now we're getting our way through. So I invite you guys to get you a warm cup of whatever it is you drink tonight, or you might get your favorite adult beverage. Thank you for letting me know. The sound probably will improve as we go on. I don't know what the sound problem is at the beginning of the show. I have another great show planned for your listening and viewing pleasure this evening. As you guys all know, it's Relationship Thursday. And so tonight we're talking about same-sex relationships. Everywhere you turn, you've been seeing more and more people engaging in same-sex relationships. Recently, actress, comedian, and TV host Niecy Nash recently married Miss Jessica Betts, and kind of took everybody for a surprise or a shock. And so Niecy Nash has actually done a rebuttal to what everybody has been thinking and saying. So we'll talk about that tonight. As well as, if you guys have been watching the show, Pete Valley, Uncle Clifford has a way with relationships as well too. So we're going to talk about all of that tonight and how people end up attracted to people of the same sex. Well, our co-host tonight is not only a best-selling book author. I'm telling you, her book is really a page turner, but she's also an activist in the LGBTQ community. She's a retired military veteran, which we thank her for her service. She's been here with us before, and she's back tonight to help us out with Relationship Thursday. Everybody, please welcome back to the show our good friend, Miss Monica M. Monica,
Hey,
hello, darling.
hey. How are you?
It has my good. Is my sound improving, darling?
Yes, it is. Yes.
Okay, good. I don't know what that is with the beginning of the show. I'm gonna have to talk to them about that. That the
Okay.
sound is really crappy. Once we get into the show, everything is great. Well,
Right.
Monica,
It
you
sounds
look great
wonderful.
as always.
Well,
Yeah,
I
you
try to
look
look
great
good
as
for you. All right.
always. Yes, baby, you do. You do. Do me a favor. Tell everybody a little bit about yourself again. Let's talk a little bit about your book, and then let's get into hot topics in the daily news stories.
Okay, well, I'm originally from New Jersey, the original Jersey Shore. I came out at the age of 13 in the early 80s, and I didn't have any role models that looked like me. So my role models were fabulous gay men and drag queens, and, they became my chosen family. And I relocated to the Virginia area, the DMV. We call that the DMV because it's DC, Maryland, and Virginia, for those of you who don't know what the DMV
Yes,
is.
right.
Went into the military, was in Chicago for a while. I had a son, and then I decided to recreate myself, and I became an author. And so I wrote my first book, Pretty Boy Blue. The sequel is The Darkest Shade of Blue. I'm now working on the third installment of the trilogy, and then a screenplay.
Oh my God. All right. Well, that's all I want to hear. I want to hear progression. I want to hear good news. I told you, 2020 is the year that we pivot. 2020 is the year that we create new things and
Yes.
ideas. And you know what? I just love it. I love every aspect of it.
Yes.
And I'm glad to have you back in the co-host seat tonight. All right.
Thank you for having me, Art. It's such a pleasure.
Okay, well, let's start off with the top COVID-19 numbers of the day. Illinois health officials announced today, Thursday, that we have 1,953 new known cases of COVID-19. Unfortunately, we had 28 additional fatalities. This now brings the total number of known infections in the state of Illinois to 255,643, with a statewide death total now of 8,242 people since this pandemic has started. So now We've gone back to school here, but it's pretty much
Mhm.
remote learning. We still have some limited things that we can do. Our restaurant businesses, they're tanking big time now.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so, it's just something that, here we are 6 months later, and we're still dealing with this. And as I said yesterday on the show, and I've said on other shows, I see no decline in this going
Mhm.
away anytime soon. How are things on your end of the world?
Well, actually, it's gotten progressively worse. Again, the DMV, DC, Maryland, and Virginia, our numbers in terms of total cases top over 259,000, and in terms of fatalities, we're looking at over 7,000. And it's interesting because the state I am in, Virginia, which is like maybe 15 minutes outside of DC, we have the largest number of 130,000 plus cases. Then there's Maryland with 114,000 plus, and DC is 14,000. So those are some pretty, horrific numbers. And you
Yeah.
know, yeah, it's terrifying. And again, as somebody with underlying health conditions, that's just terrifying to me that I live in a state, where we have the largest numbers for this area.
Right, right. You and I were kind of talking behind the stage before we came on
Mhm,
about the fact
mhm,
that you have like been really disciplined in staying in the house. That you don't go out much, that maybe you've only dined out once or twice.
mhm,
And so what has that done for your overall just mental health? Because I look at the fact that, physically we move around the house, we clean
mhm,
up, exercise, do what we do. But the overall mental health is that, we've pretty much, you and I were both saying we've become shut-ins because of these
mhm,
underlying health conditions. And so
mhm.
how have you been coping with that?
I think it's up and down. It's a day by day process. I talk to my sister every day, and some days are good days, some days are bad, and you just have to not be so hard on yourself. If I work out, and if I write right now, I'm on deadline for the last installment of the trilogy, so that's taking up most of my time. But there are times when I look up and I'm like, oh my God, I feel a little down. I feel gloomy, and
Hmm, hmm.
and then I'll call my sister and I'm like, come get me, and take me out for air, just to
Right.
ride around. But I think people underestimate the toll that it takes on your your psychological and your mental health.
Right, right. Yeah, a lot of people just don't get that. And I try to tell a lot of my friends to stay encouraged.
Hmm.
Much like yourself, you call, you check on people, make sure they're okay. When I get up in the morning, there are like 5 or 6 people. I'm like, hey, how you doing? And
Hmm.
then I check on people's progress of how are they getting out and doing things. And like you say, I try to at least get out 2 to 3 times a week. I
Hmm.
look just like a little kid. I just enjoy riding in the car
Oh
now and
my
just ride. And
God. All
I
right.
know, I
Oh,
know.
I feel like a little puppy. Like when my sister drives, and she just got a new fabulous Mercedes, honey. It's all black, like the mafia, right? And so
Right.
we ride on 95, and I just roll down the window, and I have my head out the window like a little puppy with my tongue out and stuff.
I do.
I mean,
I do.
you take for granted the small things like breathing
Yes.
fresh air.
Yeah, yes. Well, the funniest thing is that my best friend and I, when she and I hang out, we have this thing about social distancing. So if she's driving, she's in the driver's seat, and I'm in the back seat.
Like
And
Miss
if I
Daisy.
and
Okay.
if I'm driving, she's in the back seat. So we always make the joke like, well, who gonna play the rich white lady today? Who gonna play rich white lady? And so and we just love it because again, social distancing, but yet I love just like you said, like that puppy hanging out the window.
Yeah.
I always tell people I'm like that Geico commercial with the pig that be talking about wee, and that's the way I am, because I'm like, Lord, it feels so good
Oh, I
just to
know.
be
I
out the
know.
house. It really
Oh, I
does.
know.
Yeah,
I call her the pretty Uber driver. She's 7 years younger than me, but she's taller. She's more chocolate. And so I call her a pretty Uber driver. And she pulls up in this fabulous black on black Mercedes tinted
I
windows.
love
And
it.
I'm,
I
I'm like,
love
is
it.
this my Uber?
Right, right. When we're done with social distancing and we can travel and visit again, I'm coming to
Yes.
see your mama for dinner.
Yes. Yes.
And I
Yes, you
and
are.
I know your sister will give me a tour in the Mercedes Benz. Yes,
Yes,
yes, yes.
indeed.
All right. Well, very good. Let's continue on with today's news stories. Today is actually World Suicide Prevention Day. And we want to
Mhm.
remind anyone that if you are going through anything that you feel as if that you cannot keep up or hold on, or you need someone to talk to, there's always the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. That number is 1-800-273 8255. Again, that number is 1-800-273-8255. I'll have it scroll across the screen before the show is over tonight. But it is important that if you feel you need help, we are living in times right now. I saw where the unemployment rate, like
Mm.
880,000 people applied for
Wow.
unemployment just last week alone.
Mm,
There's been no extension on unemployment, and
mhm,
people are worried about their mortgages and
mhm.
what they're going to do.
Eviction notices from apartments, yeah.
Right. And so we just want to encourage anyone that if you feel like you can't go on, there is help out here for you. Monica, have you ever had any situations with uh suicide or any of that?
You know, yes, when I was younger and coming out and being bullied, and that was a very dark time, and wondering if anybody would care if I was no longer here, and thank God I was born with a very healthy sense of self awareness. So I took myself to free therapy sessions because I thought that was important because I did want to hurt myself. And, I'm just so thankful that I didn't, and I just implore people to reach out and seek guidance and help, professional help, because there's still there's so much stigma behind mental health illness,
Hmm.
and it's just a topic that we shy away from as a community, I think, as a society.
That's so funny that you said at a young age you knew
Mhm,
that. I
mhm,
also think at a young age I felt the same way too. I never thought it had anything to do with my sexuality per se,
mhm,
as much as I saw just so much dysfunction in my life
mhm,
and
mhm,
situations that you like. I can't believe people actually are living like this, or
mhm.
I don't know. It's just a lot with it. The older I've gotten, I agree. Therapy is essential to be able to
Yes.
help people do what they need to do.
Mhm.
Yes. Okay. All right. Well, with that being said, remember, if you guys need any help, Suicide Prevention Hotline is the way to go. Can you still hear me clearly, or am I breaking up again?
I can hear you clearly. All right.
Okay, very good. Speaking of suicide, rapper Takashi 69 just recently revealed in a story to Rolling Out magazine, or one of the magazines, that when he was in prison, he had thought about suicide. He was supposed to get
Mm.
over 40 some years, but because of
Wow.
his testimony, he was only
Mhm,
given two. But he says
mm,
just even the two, and it was less time than that, made him feel very suicidal. And you'd be
mm.
surprised the number of Black men who feel suicidal and cannot express themselves the
Exactly.
way I feel women can express themselves when they
Mhm.
have a problem.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Mhm.
agree.
Yes. All right. Well, a new study is saying, since this is Relationship Thursday, that marriage and dating 6 months into the pandemic is more pressure, less sex. And you and I had
Mm,
kind of joked about this the last show
mm,
about, maybe wanting to meet somebody, wanting to have a little tit-a-tay, but then,
mhm,
with COVID going on, and if you're not sure,
mhm.
if this person has been tested, you
Right.
being around them, and then like, how do you even date during a pandemic? But this study is saying that divorce is hard, but more
Mhm.
people who are stuck with their mates are finding out that their mates is not who they thought they would be. Their mates are somebody they're not desiring
After
anymore
all this time,
after
you just
all this
find it
time.
out.
But oh, come on now. You got to think of it like this. If you work a 9 to 5, you at
Mhm.
least it's 2 hours or so of you leaving the commute to go to work. You're at that job 8 or 9 hours. Let's say it's an hour, 2 hour commute home. So really
Mhm.
you have dinner time, quiet
Right.
time, bedtime. If you two are not really having sex like that, then but now you stuck at home with this person. You zooming
Right,
in the
right,
kitchen, they zooming in the living room. So I don't
right.
know. I mean, what do you think about this time in relationships and dating and marriage?
Well, I just think and I'm single, um, happily single. But
Okay.
I just think that this pandemic is making us just think about things differently and do things that we normally don't do, or we don't do anymore. For example, like going on a picnic, or taking the time to get to know someone over the phone versus just going out on a first date, and you know how the boys do, honey, they just get into it real quick. And then the lesbians, child, we come with a U-Haul, we trying to buy a house and move and all that stuff, and you can't do that right now. So I think it's forcing people to do traditional dating, to do things that we don't do anymore, like write letters and talk and get to know someone versus what you see on the outside.
Which is true. And then we also have got to think about the number of people who are unemployed now,
Mm.
for people who are serial daters. And what I mean by serial daters, they love to go out and grab a meal, have a drink,
Mhm.
maybe catch a movie, and that costs a lot of
Oh,
money.
yeah, yeah.
And so now, as you said, we would have to go back to the old fashioned let's get together. I mean, now more than
Mhm.
ever, Netflix and chill really
Mm.
would be, come on, girl, wouldn't that be the solution? That would that
Yeah.
that that would be, baby, that would be it. But because again, people are not going out spending like that and doing like that.
Mm-mm.
And one of
No.
my favorite places I like to go to, they've just brought back happy hour this week. You
Okay.
know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And so,
Mhm.
it's just one of them things, like, people may not have that income to really date somebody. So I am glad
Mhm.
we're going back to old-fashioned ways and means of doing
Right.
things.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. Well, tomorrow marks the 19th commemorance of 9/11. As you guys all
Mhm.
know, the September 11 attack was a
Mhm.
series of four coordinated terrorist attacks by an Islamic terrorist group against the United States. Back in 2001, it happened on a Tuesday morning. As a result of September 11 or 9/11, there were 2,977 fatalities, over 25,000 injuries, and
Mhm.
a huge amount of long-term health consequences.
Right.
And it actually did at least $10 billion in property damage. Now,
Mm.
Monica, do you remember where you were the day of 9/11?
Yes, I do. I'll never forget it. I was at a doctor's appointment, and the TV was on, and it was a news break, and it flashed across the screen, and I just panicked because my son was in school, maybe like 20 minutes away, and I just ran out of the office and just headed towards his school to pick him up, because we didn't know what was going on, and so I just knew that I needed to get to my son, and that's where I was on 9/11. Yeah.
I'll never forget. I was laying on my sofa. I actually lived in a
Mm,
high-rise building at the time. I had had
mhm,
surgery. And I
mm,
remember, I'm a news junkie. So I watch
mhm,
all of the news shows, and I remember watching TV and them actually showing it. And the
mm,
next thing I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm living in a high rise.
mm, mm.
Just the terror, the fear. A lot of my flight attendant friends, I was very worried
Oh,
and concerned about them, just people in general. But like, I'll never forget that day. I really
mm.
will not. That's one of the days that will probably be ingrained in my mind of
Yes, most
exactly what
definitely.
I was doing when that tragedy happened. And,
Mhm,
here we are 19 years later, and still, a lot of unanswered questions, still a lot of families grieving. I
Mhm.
love to see the stories where a lot of the first responders children have
Mhm.
followed in their parents footsteps
Oh,
and are
yeah,
now,
yeah,
so I love the
yeah.
heartwarming aspect of it. And then I've actually gone back to New York since then and
Mhm.
gone to the memorial
Just say
grounds and,
yeah,
and the site and all of that, and so
yeah.
just one of those things that we'll never forget.
Unfortunately, yeah, it's just, I remember when I called my son's school, they were like, "Oh, it's, we know what's going on. Don't panic. You don't have to rush to get him." I was like, "Oh, no, 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 no. I'm coming to pick up my child." No,
Hmm.
I just wanted
Hmm.
to be with him. I wanted to make sure he was with me and safe, because we didn't know what was going on and if it wasn't going to happen again, and it did, in different locations.
Right, right, exactly. Let me ask you this. So school has started back there
Mhm,
uh on the East Coast where you are. How is that going? Is it a lot of remote learning? Have I know you don't have a school age child, but
mhm,
from what you've
mhm,
been hearing, how's
mhm.
school been going on your side of the country?
Honey, I heard it's a mess, a complete mess. I was in the hair salon over, a couple days ago, and people were talking about how their children missed the first day because they couldn't log in, and
Right.
they were waiting in the queue, and the teacher had to bring all the students in, and they didn't know that the student was waiting in the queue. And I just don't think that we've had a comprehensive plan. I know that some states, based on the governor, they have hybrid situations where maybe the students go to school a couple days out of the week, and then they do virtual the other couple days, and then some are just all virtual. But there are some situations in some states where just recently a teacher went to school, and I think she was diagnosed on a Friday, and she passed on a Monday.
Yes,
So and she
I
was
saw
very
that.
young. She was 28. She was very young. So I just don't know. Leadership starts top down, and we don't have any true leadership in the White House right now. And so I think that we're seeing that how that trickles down to every day, and just regular people, and people are dying still every day. So the school system right now, I just feel bad for the teachers who, that's a passion. I just think that teachers and nurses are angels, but when you have teachers resigning after 20 years of being an educator because they don't feel safe and they got to go home to their families, that's
Right.
sad to me.
Right. I was looking at World News, program this evening, and they were
Hmm.
saying that there's a uptick of COVID-19 cases on college campuses, and that so many of these young people, of course, their first
Yes.
time on a college campus. I guess at Illinois State University, they brought some YouTube sensation stars in and
Hmm.
actually had
Hmm.
a gathering, and so now the cases are rising on these college
Hmm.
campuses. And then they showed a young man who they had quarantined him and put him someplace. They sit his food outside the door, and they
Mm-mm.
told him that they would call him when the quarantine was over, almost like some
What?
espionage mess, some I spy stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, Lord, who does this? And so I don't know. As a parent, I think I'd want my child to come back home during this. I understand it's your freshman
Oh, for
year,
sure.
your
Sure.
sophomore year. I get it, but
Senior
but
year.
yeah, but we're not sure about this. You know what I'm saying? I just until people are able to fully go back into offices, restaurants are able to open back up, things are at 100%. I don't know if I necessarily would be eager to send a child anywhere around other people. Plus, children carry germs quicker than
Mhm.
anybody, you
Mhm.
know?
Yeah. And I just think that, when you look at other countries and how they're handling this pandemic, I just think that all of this could have been alleviated if we would have just the leadership in the White House, if we just would have shut everything down. I think we opened up too soon. Americans, we tend to be very arrogant. We don't want to do this. Nobody's going to tell me this. It's my constitutional right. But you don't have to worry about the economy if people are dying. You don't have to worry about that because there's not going to be anyone working. So I just think that this could have been a whole lot different. We're edging towards what we may be at 200,000 deaths by now. So it just could have been alleviated if we just would have had, a mask mandate across the country, and if we didn't open up too soon. I think we opened up too soon.
Well, as we saw yesterday, that tape that leaked where journalist Bob Woodward had interviewed the
Hmm.
president, and the president knew early on that this pandemic
Hmm.
was serious. He talking about he didn't want everybody to panic and all
Hmm.
of that. And again, keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, we are 54 days away from election day, and we need to really look at where we are as a country, what we've been going through, and how do we best change this situation as soon as possible,
Hmm. Definitely.
Mhm. Yeah. Preston said it didn't help that your president lied about the COVID numbers. Oh, I could imagine. I could actually imagine there's been a lot of lying going on about, situations and circumstances that are just not coming together. And how when you do go out, have you seen people wearing their mask?
For the most part, I have, and I've been happy about that. I have seen them wear a mask. You have a few that won't wear masks, but again, like that's so selfish because
It
you're
really
protecting
is.
other people. It really is. You're protecting other people and yourself, and I just don't understand politics and the Constitution and all that rigmarole. But I mean, how is this allowed to happen? The impeachment process, that initial impeachment process, that went out the window. But how are we as a country allowing this to happen? And I just don't understand why there aren't any laws where a president can be removed when you're making these kind of decisions. It's just really terrifying to me. But then again, to be honest, Art, you look at white privilege for men, and there you go.
You know what? And I didn't want to break it down to white
Okay.
privilege,
I'm
but
just
you
saying,
know what?
Art.
No, 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 no. I'm not disagreeing with you. I just was like, oh Lord, because it's got to be something. And people who believe and think the way that he thinks is interesting
Hmm.
to me too. And it just makes me wonder the number of people of other races that you
Hmm.
and I both have come in contact with. Do
Hmm.
they actually really think and perform like this man does? You know what I'm saying? Even
I
though they
don't
may have
know.
been cool and jovial with us, do
Hmm.
behind closed doors, do they think the same way this president does?
I don't know. I think we saw that in that 2016 election where, I'm just being honest, white women tricked us, honey. They were like, oh, they were so horrified, but then they, went behind the voting polls and voted. So we'll see what happens.
Right, right. I don't know. It's just the most interesting dynamic ever. All right. For those of you all that are just joining us, welcome to the Thursday night edition of the Chat Daddy Show. I am Chat Daddy. Yes, this is the
Yes,
real Chat
indeed.
Daddy. Yes, thank you, darling. I appreciate you for that. Monday through Thursday night from 7 p.m. until we get tired. The show is scheduled for 90 minutes, but sometimes we talk on and on and on. Tonight is Relationship Thursday. We're talking about same-sex relationships and marriages. We're talking just a lot of truth telling, a lot of circumstances, situations will be presented tonight, and it should be a really interesting conversation. Don't forget to tune in to next week. I have a lot of great shows coming up next week. On Monday night, September is preparedness month. Preparedness means you and your family have a kit put together that if something was to ever happen at your house, how would you actually be prepared and ready? As you guys all know, we've had a lot of tornadoes, hurricanes. Let's look at the fires that are going on in California. And, people often tease me, but I carry my man bag everywhere I go. I do. I have a Merce. I have a Merce. I
I
have
know
all,
that's right.
honey, I have all kind of Merces. I got designer
Oh,
Merces. But
of course.
you have to realize I'm a former flight attendant. And
Okay,
I
that
used
makes
to
it.
be a
Yep.
Boy Scout. I used to be a Boy
Mm.
Scout. So I
What?
am. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, I was a Boy Scout at one point. Right. The flight attendant career was far better than the Boy Scout days. But I put it to you like this. I'm always ready, and there's nothing I don't have in my bag that you would need. You know what I'm saying? And
What?
That's from being. Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh no,
I
I
need
had.
to talk to you because I would so not be ready, honey. As
Are
long as
you
I have my
kidding?
foundation, boy, as long as I have my foundation and lip gloss, I'm good. But I need to talk to you about your MERS.
No, like I even carry an extra battery for my cell phone in my
What?
bag. A little, I do. I,
Oh, I
oh, I,
need to
wi-
get with
I
you,
wish
Art.
I had my Merce here. You should always carry an extra cell phone battery. You should
What?
you should always carry an extra cord for your
That makes
phone.
sense. That
You
makes
need
sense.
you need to carry a car charger plug. You and I,
What?
yeah, you and I both wear eyeglasses. What do you have
Hmm.
to clean your eyeglasses with when you out in the streets?
What? My shirt.
Us. See, see, see. I stay prepared and ready. I stay prepared.
What? That
Right,
is
right,
amazing.
right.
Oh, I
Okay.
need a list of your
So,
MERS
so,
bag.
so here's the deal. What if you want to go to a public bathroom and use it, and they don't have any toilet seat covers?
You
I
carry
got
that too?
baby. Everything
What?
you need is
Oh,
in my
I need
purse.
the list of your MERS
Right.
bag, honey.
Our co-host tonight is the amazing Miss Monica M. Pickett, successful book author, activist, retired military veteran. We just love and appreciate whenever she's here with us.
Oh, I love you, Art.
She's our diva out on the East Coast, and we have a great time with her tonight. Oh, everybody's saying they love us both. They do. It's so
Oh,
funny.
thank
Yeah.
you. I love Art.
Yeah, no, we love you, honey. You do a great job on this show. You really do. And so, with tonight being Relationship Thursday, in just a little bit, we're going to start our conversation. It's going to be a mature, good conversation.
Hmm.
Always on this show, we have fun, but we talk about things that people
Hmm.
most need to know about.
Hmm.
Monica, I was laughing with somebody earlier today, and somebody said, watching P Valley, and we're gonna do a whole show on P Valley on this show.
Hmm.
But they
Yes,
were
honey.
saying that how Uncle Clifford did not mess with Murder. Murder snapped to
Hmm.
Uncle Clifford, and I
Yeah,
said, well, that happens a lot of
that
times.
happens.
Pe-
Yeah.
People oftentimes think that gay people are the aggressors or
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
ones to initiate whatever it
Yeah.
is, and no, it's not necessarily that situation all the time.
Not at all. Not all the time, no. And then, people, it's like I've met women and they were upset because they were like, oh, I thought you were a lesbian. Am I not pretty enough or good enough? And I was like, listen, I'm not attracted to all women. That's crazy for you to even make that assumption. I'm not attracted to all women and you're not even my type.
Right, right. Okay. I love it. I do. All right. So let's get into our relationship conversation. Tonight, we have a young lady who is joining us who I just love and adore her. Not only is she a model, she's a performer, she's a
Mhm.
trendsetter.
Wonderful.
Look, as we say on this show, I'm going to let her pull her own tea when she comes on to talk tonight. But the deal is that I was looking for a variety of people that would be able to have a great conversation about just the attraction. We're
Mhm.
not trying to persuade anybody in this conversation. We're not trying to, throw brimstone and fire at people. We
Mhm.
hope that
Mhm.
nobody condemns us. We just are trying to
Mhm.
have an open and honest conversation.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome performer and activist, my girl, Ro.
Hey.
Hey, baby.
Hey,
Hey,
love.
how are you?
Hey.
Oh,
Welcome.
How
hey.
are you guys?
Wonderful, Rose.
Wonderful.
You look amazing tonight, honey. You always have
Thank
it blinging,
you.
blinging. You do.
You gotta shine, Art. You know how we do.
Yes, baby. Yes. Amen. So, Ro, tell everybody a little bit about yourself, who you are. Save your story, for once we get to talking, but present
Okay.
yourself to my audience. We're so glad to have you here with us tonight.
Okay, well, hello, audience. My name is Ro. I am a queer performance artist. My performance artist, actually, I'm in burlesque. So that is
Mm.
really fun. I enjoy that. And I'm definitely a supporter of the LGBTQ. I'm definitely a part of the family. I used to have a TV show. I worked with Gay Chicago TV. It tanked, but it was a wonderful ride. And I learned so much. And it was just good thing. So that's me in a nutshell.
Amen. Amen.
Okay.
We're glad to have you here in this nutshell. You know, we ain't nothing but a bowl of mixed nuts.
Oh, yes,
So
honey.
yeah, so ladies, I want to start off with the fact that everybody and their mama last week was just last week. This time is when we found out. Was it last week this
Mhm.
time? I think it was
Almost,
I
almost,
think
that
yeah.
so.
that actress, comedian, and TV show host Niecy Nash, at the age of 50,
Mhm.
got married again for the third time, and this time she married singer and songwriter Jessica Betts, who's from Chicago, and
Mhm.
so I think everybody clutched their pearls because, you know, Niecy Nash's first husband
Mhm.
was a minister. Her second husband, it was a big wedding. We saw it all over social media. You know, she's so in love. And then now, you know, 1 year after her divorce from the last husband, she is now married to a female. And
Mhm.
so everywhere, you know, I'm much like you, Monica. I was at the I go to a salon to have services done, and
Mhm.
everybody was like, what, you got to be
Gagging,
kidding me,
honey.
like gagging, baby, gagging. And so I'm just trying to figure out, first of all, you know, people are saying, was this something in her all along? She
Mhm.
did release a statement saying that, you know, this was somebody she connected to, somebody that,
Mhm.
you know, even before the whole sexual aspect, she was drawn to this person. Now, keep in
Mhm.
mind, Jessica did sing at her wedding to the
Mhm.
second husband. Jessica was
Mhm.
the singer at the wedding. So, so right.
Bro, don't
Look,
do it, bro. Don't do it,
right,
bro.
right, right.
Okay.
So I first of all, well, you know, Monica, you said you came out at 13.
Mhm.
Ro, you've had an interesting little journey. Would you want to kind of share your little interesting journey so that the audience can kind of know where you are in this whole picture?
Yeah, no problem. Let me see. When did I come out? I came out in my like 30s, damn near 40. And
Mhm.
I met this amazing woman at a party, and just my life turned around, and I was with her for 8 years. But when I got with her,
Mhm.
I hit the floor. I mean, hit that ground running. It was like, come on, we're walking in pride parades. We're doing this, we're doing that. It was just, it was so freeing. And I felt like I was just in love, and I had found the one, and it was an amazing journey.
So now, Ro, I want to ask this. Did you have any inklings? Did you have any curiosity? Had something in the past, or you found somebody that moved your soul? And if I'm too personal, let me know.
Uh-uh.
But I'm just curious to know, like, you know, because I've been there. I've had
Hmm.
people that I've met that I was like, Lord, I'll damn near walk on water for your ass. Right. I'll write bad checks. You know what I'm saying? So
It's so
what
stupid.
what sparked you to say that, oh my God, I want to be with this woman now?
Well, I've always been a free spirit. So a lot of people were like, "Oh, I wasn't surprised when you came out, Ro, because I could never put you in a box." But they only saw me with men. But I guess my persona, how I carry myself, is always just, if you love me, I love you. Oh, I love you. I love you too. I love everybody.
You
You
do.
know,
Yes.
I
Yeah.
do. But
Yeah.
I was not willing to, like, I had dibbled and dabbled with women before, but I was never willing to come out and to be in a committed relationship and actually claim a woman until she came around. Everything was kind of just sexual, you know. we
Okay.
we get together, we have fun. Okay, now I have to go be with this man. But
Mhm.
when she came along, it was all encompassing. And I have a son, so it was
Right.
it was his son, my son Righteous. He's like, oh yeah, I have two mommies, and he was very
Oh,
used to
yeah.
saying that at school. And
Mhm.
the PTA teachers, they knew us as, that family, because that's who we were.
Interesting. And I find it, you know, both of you all are moms. Um, was there, I even want to know, ladies, the men that you have dealt with, how did they feel about your change? Do men look at it crazy? Do they? That's been my biggest thing. Because see, women can make that choice to live whatever life they want. They can have a child. They can do whatever. If me as a man did this, it would be a lot of speculation, controversy, shaming, all of that.
Yeah, there are different standards. Yeah, they're
Right.
different standards.
So I'm kind of curious to know, and maybe Monica, you can kind of help with this, like, the men of the past, and I'm not trying to get too deep. How did they feel about your decision or you moving on and living your life?
Well, my son's father, we met in the military, and he's a good guy. And I think that initially he thought that he can change me, it was maybe just a phase. And I was like, no, I really like girls, and I just wanted to be a mother. And at that age, in that stage in my life, I was determined. I've never allowed myself to be put in a box or labeled. And I was like, well, who's society to tell me that I can't be a lesbian and a mother? And so at that moment, I guess I was representing the B in LGBTQ versus, the L. But, he thought maybe it was just a phase, and it wasn't, and I just wanted to be a mother. So I never really dealt with that. I mean, once I was honest with him about that, that's what it was.
I love that. I really do. Ro, what about your situation?
Mine was quite different.
Right. So, Ro, was there some restraining order somewhere in this area? Did the popo have to show up?
I swear, not the popo, not restraining orders, but they were not happy. It was a few that were like, okay, well, whatever makes you happy, but many were not on board. They're like, oh, this is a phase. Oh, you need the right one. You got to get changed back. Yeah, the right one. You haven't been with the right one. Okay. You gotta, oh no, this is bad. Why did you choose that? It was a lot of people, including my father, that was just not happy. Oh, yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, really?
Because the parent thing is something that I was gonna ask about too. Even in my course of my life, my mom always has been very supportive, and sometimes I think mamas know what they got on their hands versus the dad situation and that type of thing, and just even coming out to family. But that's interesting, bro, because I've had other women say to me, oh Lord, all the men I dealt with done just flipped out on me. And I'm thinking to myself, you got to be kidding me. You know what I'm saying? And I guess it makes guys feel inadequate, I guess, if a woman changes on them. I don't know. I mean, the way I don't look at it like that. I look at be who you want to be and live the life you want to live. What you think, Monica? What are you thinking in all of this?
I agree with you. And I just, when we think about Niecy Nash, I didn't know if, she was suppressing her sexuality. And when she came out and said she wasn't, I mean, I can understand that, because I've always been someone who is like, okay, you love who you love. That's just who I am. You love who you love, and you can't help who you fall in love with. I mean, I've dated when I was younger, and I'm divorced now, but I've dated women who were straight women, and people would say, oh, but she's gay or she's bisexual. I was like, no, she's not. And I'm not going to put her in a box. And they were like, well, you guys are dating. I said, no, but I'm thinking of two women who are they're still in my life. They're both married to men, but they would say to me, I'm not attracted to women. I don't think I'm gay. I'm not bisexual, but I just love you, Monica. And I understood that. And I didn't judge them on that. I allowed them to be who they are. And I understood that. But some people, they try to put you in the box and I'm like, no, this is who she is. And I accept that. I don't judge her.
You know what, Monica? I'm so glad you said what you said, because a lot of people, they don't believe that. I tell people there are people who fall in love with people and folks will say, well, you don't have any business falling in love with this person. But I too have had the same situation where these have been straight people who love me, spent
They just never
time.
are.
Yeah,
Mhm.
right. And people will look at me and say, "Oh, that's crazy as hell. I ain't never heard nothing like that. It's got to be something you're doing." And I tell people the funniest thing is I'm not an aggressor in my
Mhm.
relationships.
Mhm.
You get what I'm
Lying.
saying?
That's for him.
But you probably consider yourself a daddy in a relationship, though, don't you? Are you an
Well,
aggressor?
it's interesting because I've always been attracted to really feminine women.
Okay.
And when people would see us together, they've been feminine women, the women I've been in love with, but they seem to be more aggressive on the outside, but on the inside, I'm the aggressor. So it
Well,
worked out well. Yeah.
on the outside, I am very docile. I'm usually the aggressor in the relationship. But what
Okay.
when getting to know somebody, I
Mhm.
am not, I don't approach people. I've never.
Okay.
I'm the people approach me. You know what I'm saying? I
Okay.
just never, because if I approach people, I don't ever want it to be the wrong signal, the wrong
Mhm.
message. And so people who have tried to get my attention, they
Mhm.
step to me, and really that's attractive to me. A lot of people think because of who I am, oh, come
Right.
here, come here. No, I don't. I'm very different from that.
People
What about
never, people never Uh, I mean, for the most part, they never approach me. I always do the approaching. I mean, and then I don't make assumption if I see someone and she's beautiful and I'm attracted to her, I don't assume she's straight or gay. I will just
Mm.
go and say something to her. And I mean,
Mhm.
it is what it is.
It's universal appeal. I like what this person
Right.
said. Now, let me
Yeah.
tell you one thing about Ro. Ro has been the hostess at some of the most
Mhm.
fabulous restaurants in Chicago.
Wow.
She has been that it girl that look. It's a 3 hour wait to get a table at this
What?
restaurant. And Ro, honey, she lets you know I got you, boo. Whole time. Oh, she the gatekeeper. She been a
Okay,
gatekeeper
bro.
for
I'll
years.
be calling you, bro.
You get what I'm saying? She used before she became this burlesque performer, she was the gatekeeper. And so, Ro,
Wow.
you have a lot of people that's been in your face, men, women, all of that. How do you not let that go to your head, or how do you know who to choose as who you might want to holler at?
Oh, it's always about energy.
Hmm.
I am
Yeah.
a serious energy reader. So,
Me too.
yeah, if the person comes to me and their energy is off, I can feel it immediately. I can sense it, and I just, oh, okay, nice to meet you. Have a good night. But if that energy is right, hey, boo.
Right. Right. And that's what people don't understand. People oftentimes think that, first of all, I hate this one, that if you're gay, you want everybody in the room. I have had to check so many people like,
Mhm.
look, girl, your man is lazy and trifling with you.
You can keep them.
What you're right. You think
Basically.
right. You think if I take your man, he gonna be any better. He lazy and trifling with you. He not even doing what he's supposed to do by you. So I definitely don't want him. People oftentimes think that because we're gay or bisexual or whatever the case may be, that you want everybody in the room. And Monica, you and I were talking about that behind the scenes earlier too. Why do people think that so much, Monica?
I don't know. I just think that's an assumption in terms of, societal presumptions of what the LGBTQ community is. And so I think it's important that we have these conversations and people see men like you and women like Ro and me, especially youth, because there are still a lot of youth struggling because they don't see themselves. And so I don't know. I just think that's a presumption that society makes that, we are attracted to everyone, same sex, and we go after them, and that's not the case.
Ro, what about you? Because you right, Ro. You at every parade, rally, the
Hmm.
TV show. You were doing all of that, and so. But again, not attracted to everybody in the room.
No, just like you aren't attracted to every man or every
Hmm.
you're just not. And I think it's because they have over sexualized gay
Mm-hmm.
people. It's just their mind automatically goes to what's happening in the bedroom. You don't really think about that. I have the same relationship problems that you have, where we might be arguing over what's for dinner, or did you do the dishes, or you just plain getting on my nerves.
Right,
it's
right.
it's a real relationship. It's not just I'm humping you or what I'm doing behind closed doors that you're so fixated on. Get out of my bedroom. I have
Mhm,
a regular relationship. My family is the same thing. The only thing that's different is I'm with someone of the same sex.
Mm-hmm.
mhm, mhm. I love
Right.
that. I really do.
Mhm.
As much as we try to keep, the church out of our business and stuff, I really do think that the black church was the downfall, because I tell people, listen,
Mm.
you would have no choir if it wasn't for gay folks.
Mm-mm.
You
Mm-mm.
wouldn't have no choir. You wouldn't have no championship choir. You wouldn't have, it's a lot of things. And I'm trying to figure out, I
Mhm.
wonder why the church has been so condemning of gay people when in actuality, gay people have been the backbones of a lot of different things. And as I always say, you never know who the check signer is and what their background is.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
I
Bro,
agree. I
okay,
just,
go ahead, Monica.
no, I just think that we are, as a society, and then when you talk about the Black family, the Black community, the Black church, we're just not ready to have those uncomfortable conversations, the real conversations.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
but when will we? You know what I'm saying? Here we are, 2020. We just got through talking about it's the 19th anniversary of 9/11. We are in the midst of a pandemic.
Wow.
We're living in times of race drama altogether. Who
Yeah.
you love and who you want to be with, this should have been squashed long time ago. This really, I feel that the reason why we have such a disconnection in all of our relationships, if we never sat down and ironed out really what's good about the relationship. It's negative.
Mm.
It's negative. It's negative, negative, negative. Ro, what you think about that?
I think that we can't have real relationships because we're not real with ourselves.
Mhm.
You got to start within first. You always worried about somebody else, what they're doing. How about you get your own house right?
Ooh,
Get your
Mhm.
amen.
own
Worry
house
about
right
yourself.
first. Worry about yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
hmm
Mm-hmm.
hmm
Mm-hmm. And we're always too busy, especially the church, trying to tell people what to do, how to do it, things of that nature. And meanwhile, like you said, the choir, the deacons, it's so many variables that they try to like hide away. That's not right. If we could all just be out and open, we might be further along. Further along.
Because what amazes me more than anything is that when we were having the gay pride parade, Chicago's
Mhm.
gay pride parade is number 2 in the
Yeah,
country. The
Mm, I
fact
didn't
that oh honey, and the
it's
fact
big.
that it brings out
Mhm.
millions of people to
know.
that area every year, and years that I've written on floats for various companies I was with, and in the
Mhm.
parade, as I looked out into the crowd, I saw faces of people that it made me wonder, what were you doing behind closed doors? Are you this
Mm.
supportive of the LGBTQ community? And it's really not my business. But when you look out and just see thousands and thousands of faces and people, it really does make you wonder, is this, what you've been doing and you just don't want to, or are you just such a supporter of this? This is why you're here. But yeah, it's the largest gay pride parade, second largest in the country. It
What's
is.
the first? New York? Is it that the
It,
first or
it's,
San
I think
Francisco?
New York or San Francisco, but I know
Okay.
Chicago is the second largest gay pride parade. So I don't know. It's living your truth and being who you want to be. So now, ladies, both of you have watched P Valley, correct?
Mm.
I have
Yes.
not, but I lived in Atlanta.
What?
Oh, okay,
Love it.
okay,
I
okay,
love
okay.
it.
Okay, all right. So now I'm still gonna have a whole show on P Valley in itself, but there's so much to talk about. But as you guys all know, the number one character who I feel now is really the new superstar is the gentleman who plays Uncle Clifford. Uncle
Mhm.
Clifford is a masculine trans man, and when I say masculine, Uncle Clifford is what I consider I don't even goatee, beard, uh,
Mhm.
Right.
drag, all of that.
Right.
That's the way our younger generation is doing it. Back in
Mhm.
the day when you did drag, you had to emulate a 100% woman. Now these guys are doing full beards, goatees, beautiful makeup, all of that. And from what we saw in P Valley, Uncle Clifford wasn't out there being an aggressor. People were being aggressive towards him. What I don't realize is that men have always had an infinity for transsexuals.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Come
You
on,
better say
Monica.
that.
Look, Monica, back it on up.
You better say that.
I just, it's interesting because, when I think times are changing, but we still have a lot of work to do because,
Mhm.
you know, uh, the heterosexual society would say, oh, you know, uh, you know, a transgender woman tricked this man. These straight men are not being tricked, honey.
Not at all.
Right.
They're
Not
not.
at all.
And we have to be honest with acknowledging the fact that there are men, heterosexual men, who are attracted to transgender women, and that's okay. But because the way they are judged, we judge them as a society, they feel like they can't be themselves and love these transgender women, so they end up killing them, abusing them, and it's not always that way, and I think heterosexual women have to be honest you know about these men. Not all these men are on the down low. They are attracted to transgender women.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But to what you're saying, these men aren't on the down low, but they're not very vocal either. And
Exactly.
I
Exactly.
and I think that's the problem, because if men were, again, yourself, allowed to be themselves and
Mhm.
allowed to say, okay, because I remember when the rumor mill was swirling about Malik Yoba. If Malik Yoba is, has a proclivity for transsexual women, that there's nothing transgendered women, there's nothing wrong with that. He should be able to be who he is and love who he loves, but of course the society is not having that, and therefore the hiding and all of the just the
Mhm.
underbelly, it leads to this violence, and it's not good. It's
No.
Yeah.
not good. Mm-mm.
Mm-mm. I agree 100%. I think, Monica, I remember you were a co-host or either a guest on the show, and there had just been an uptick in the murders of transgender
Mm.
women. Because, when we were talking, I said that there was a story that happened here. You had kind of
Mhm.
told me a story that happened back on the East Coast. And,
Mhm.
and what I tell people now more than ever, see, when I was younger, transgender women couldn't fully be themselves all the
Right.
time.
Mm.
They
Right.
Mhm.
were themselves for illusion reasons. They were themselves when they could break away, get out. Now it's not uncommon for you to see a transgender child, a teenager, adult,
Mhm.
whatever the case may be. I think we've come a long way, but I'm
Mhm.
trying to figure out, how do we teach people acceptance? How do we all accept people? I'm sure a lot of people who are watching this show accept. If you don't, we appreciate you at least listening to the conversation. But how will we ever get to that point of acceptance? Ro, what you doing that TV show, that was a part of what you were trying to do to educate people. But what would
Absolutely.
if you had the magic and power to teach people acceptance, what would you do?
Hmm. I was sitting here and I was thinking about that. And the younger generation actually is really taking the charge, because my son is always, he's 14 now. So he's always correcting me. I'm like, oh, look at that cat. He's he.
Right,
And he's
right.
like, Mommy, you don't know what gender that cat is. Don't call it a he. And I was like, yeah, it's a he, and the dog is a she. And he's like, no, 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 you can't say that, Mommy.
Right, right.
But these children, they're going to schools where now you have to give a pronoun. Oh,
Yes, you do.
he, him, his,
Yep.
she, her, hers.
That's right.
We never grew up with that. That's like, and for some adults, it's mind boggling. But I think it's good because it allows the children to accept people for who they are, who they are.
Hmm.
Period.
Hmm.
Hmm.
I love you saying that because a part of my with being with ADA 25 and being an ambassador and a fellow, we have to identify with our pronouns. And
Hmm.
when I was in training class, I was like, oh, and and then when a
Yeah.
couple of people said them, they, those, and I said,
Yeah.
oh, I said, well, the
Yeah.
older I get, will I become a them, they, those? I don't know. I don't know. Monica, what do you think? Do you think we can ever talk people into accepting people of the LGBTQ plus community?
Yes, and I think I agree with Ro about the things that she mentioned, but I think also education is key, just within our own intimate circles and family. Like, for example, me and my mom, we were watching the documentary on Netflix, Disclosure, about the transgender community, and she's so cute. You have to realize my mom is 71. She's of a different generation.
Right.
She's
Yeah.
always been very supportive, but she didn't understand it. So she said, if there's a woman on there, I think it was a model, and she said, "Oh, she's beautiful. Is she a transy?" I said, "Oh." I said, "Mommy." I said, "Mommy, don't say transy." She was like, "What? I mean, is that what was she born a man?" I said, "Mommy, transy or tranny is offensive." I said, "Please don't say that." She was like, "Well, I didn't know." And I said, "I know, Mommy, but that's what I'm telling you. Please don't say transy."
Right.
So
Right.
I think it's about education too, and it
Yeah.
starts with our intimate circles, because who doesn't have a gay or a lesbian cousin, uncle, child, transgender niece or nephew. So I think it starts with that intimate education.
Hmm.
Mhm.
I belong to a men's coffee club group, and so
Mhm.
one day, of course, some of the best guys ever, just really like they're all brothers to me. But the conversation one day came up of what is appropriate and what is not appropriate, and so
Mhm.
I said, "Well, guys, do me a favor, just throw some words out there." And let me tell you whether it's appropriate or
Mhm.
not. And one
Mhm.
and one of them immediately went to say, "Well, what about the word fag?" And I said, "Let me explain something to you about fag.
Mhm.
Fag will get a switchblade pulled on you in a minute." I said, "Gay men do not like to be called fag." I said that is the worst thing. It's almost worse than the N word. We use the N word and it does not bother us. But you call a gay dude a fag, you gonna have a problem. Now, sissy, they threw out so many different words, and I had to explain to them how it works, how people accept it, masculine, feminine. People have a hard
Mhm.
time even just believing in our relationship. Well, who played
Mhm.
a husband? Who played a wife?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Ro, help me with that. How does that
Mhm.
all work?
That's so exhausting. I tell people, I'm like, it's two women. It's
Mhm.
nobody is the husband. Nobody assumes this role. We are two people coexisting together, trying to do it peacefully.
Right. Monica, what do you
Yeah.
feel about that situation?
I agree with Ro. I mean, you just fall into what is naturally comfortable to you. I know when I was
Mhm.
married, I was the one who cooked most of the time because I would get home from work often first, so I would
Yeah.
cook because I'm here first. Or, she would take out the trash just because that's what she did. And it's interesting because when our son would say, he would say, "Ma." And it's so crazy because we knew based on the tone of his voice which mother he was calling. He called both of us mom, but depending on
Mhm.
the inflection of his tone, we knew who he was talking to. And so if he called her and he would be like, "Ma," then I would just be quiet and then she would answer and vice versa. So, you just fall into those natural characteristics.
That's interesting because I've always wondered how that worked in a two female household.
Mm.
Well, another thing I wanted to talk to you ladies about is that over the course of years, I've had good friends, acquaintances, people that I grew up with who were for the most part straight, either into church or never really shameful of being a friend of mine. But then all of a sudden they had the life change. They had to, Monica, you and I can both say since the age of, young age, we knew. But whenever I run into people now who I will never forget, I was in a big box store shopping one day and ran into somebody that I had been knowing for 100 years and had not seen them in a while. And they were, oh, I love you. I love you too. Good to see you. And they said, well, let me introduce you to my baby. And I'm thinking parent and child situation. And I even looked at the young lady and I said, well, to myself as I'm walking away, I said, boy, her daddy must have really been dark, or maybe she adopted her. You know what I'm saying? I said, I said, this is kind of interesting. And so when they came back around and I kind of was looking at them, and she said, well, we'll have to get up with you. We'll grab a bite to eat. My baby, I just told her who you were. And I said, oh, your baby, like your boo thing, like your boo thing.
Yeah.
And I thought they were gonna have to call the paramedics for me because I couldn't get ready. As a gay man, I was like, girl, like, when did this happen? You know what I'm saying? I think I was more nervous and nosy about when did you make this switch versus this show baby. You get what I'm saying? So I don't know. I'm sure I'm like a lot of men and a lot of people. So when it comes to family and friends and coming out, ladies, I feel you all have the most eloquent and graceful way of doing it. I think men have a hard time doing that. Any suggestions to anybody that might want to come out and have us, because again, I told you I was shocked because this is somebody I grew up with. Ro, what do you think?
Oh, any suggestions? Again, it's just really about, I don't like to force people out of the closet.
Right.
That's not fair. That's, people come out when they are ready. Like I said, for me, I hit the ground running. I was like, yay, I'm gay. It's happy, love, yay. But now for my ex, I was the first relationship that she ever came out to her mother in. And she had been with women for years, but she found the courage with me. And that was in her own time. So everybody has their own journey. So yeah.
I agree with you on that. That's actually stellar advice. Monica, what you think? I see you back there lamenting, baby. What you think?
I was just thinking about what Bro was saying, but I just think it's important that a lot of us when we come out, we are often disowned by loved ones and friends, and I think that's where we have to be courageous enough to choose a chosen family. And so I would suggest to come out to someone who loves you unconditionally, whether that's a coworker, whether that's an auntie, whether that's your favorite uncle. That's important. And then once you come out to that person, I think that you will have the courage to go on and live your authentic life,
I couldn't agree more. I could not. And as we look back in history, this is nothing new. This has been going on since the beginning of time. I just noticed a friend of mine had posted a picture of her dad, who was 93 years old, and him and his guy had been together for 30 years. And the wonderful part about it was her dad looked like $1 million, like life was good to him. And the funniest thing is, I had somebody say to me, a straight man, I'll never forget, he said this. He said, well, one thing I'm gonna say about gay men is you all really do preserve well. He said, I think that's the secret to being a gay man, that you are. And I said, look, not many gay men want to run around looking busted down and broke. You know what I'm saying? I don't care how much weight you gain. I don't care what the circumstances. we want to shine. And I think that's what makes us a big difference. Where with women, I look at both of you all, you're just absolutely beautiful. But
Oh,
Thank
thank
you.
but I think that's a part of your image of just who you are as a personality.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that when life, you have ups and downs, and I never wanted to be a member of the divorcee club, but I am, and at this stage in my life, I'll be 54 in June. Next June, I'll be 54, and I'm a grandmother. That's a blessing. The blessing is that my mother is still here, and so at this stage and age in my life, I just want to be happy. I want companionship. I want someone who loves all of me. I have an MBA from Johns Hopkins, but I'm real ghetto fabulous. I'm from the projects. You know what I mean? And
Right.
that's important. You have to love all of me. And if you're a straight girlfriend of mine, you have to be okay, comfortable. If we're out at a restaurant or anywhere, and if you're with me, someone may assume that you're gay. Someone may assume that you're my partner, and you may not be. And you have to be okay with that. And that's a blessing that I have girlfriends like that. Like, I've loved you forever, and I love you for who you are. And
Mhm.
that's what it's about. Life
Mhm.
is too short.
Mhm. I agree. Ro, you want to add something to that?
I was just listening to her and I was flashing back like I always got with my partners, oh, that's your sister. I'm like, no, that's not my
Right.
sister. It's not my sister.
We're a little bit more than sister. Right, 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 right. Sister, right.
Sisters, wait. So one time we were traveling, she and I. Now I'm 5'9" and she 6'1". So whenever
Oh, okay.
we're very statuesque women, and people would always look. So there was this woman in front of us on the plane, and she was like, "So that's your sister?" And we looked at each other and we laughed and we said, "No, we're not sisters." And she looked at her, and she looked at me, and she said, "Oh, that's your sister." I said, yes.
I
That's
love it.
me.
I do. I do. I just think women have that freedom. That's the one thing I admire. If I had to do it all over again, I just think that women have that freedom to be feminine, to be who and what they want to be. Again, my sister, and that was like, if it was two dudes, it'd be totally different. That's just like, me and my other half would never ever be able to go to Dubai together and stay in a hotel room together. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Because of their
Yeah.
laws. I mean, just it's still a lot of prejudice out here, when it comes to people who live the LGBTQ lifestyle. And again, everywhere you turn, people are living the lifestyle. And what I find is very healthy, loving relationship, especially when it's two women involved.
Now, to your point, Art, is women are accepted as long as they are not overly masculine, because when they start moving
Yeah,
into
you're right.
overly masculine, then people really have problems with it, because it's like, oh well, she thinks she's a dude, so I'm gonna treat her like a dude. No, she's still a woman. She's just a masculine presenting woman. But that might be another topic for another
Yeah, that's
time,
a
because
whole
that
look.
can
That
That's a
is
whole nother
right.
show, honey.
Right. It really is. It really
right
is.
right
And what
right
people don't understand is, just like white people come in variations, black people, Asians, Hispanics, so do gays. We come in variations. People don't get that either. I've always been a very conservative gay. A lot of things that are going on now, I have to even get used to it and get ready for it. You know what I'm saying? Like, boy, you 6'3" with a goatee and you want to put on a beaded gown. I got to get used to that. You get what I'm saying? You get,
Yes, I do.
look, right. So you're right about that. We've got to look at accepting people who they are, where they are, but also don't think that all gay people fall in the same category and box.
It's not a
But I
one
think
size
that
fits all.
Yeah, and I think that also, I think you mentioned that earlier, Ro. I think it also goes back to the sexualization of lesbianism, where you see it in mainstream media. It's sexy, it's appealing to men if it's two very feminine women, but if it's a dominant woman and a feminine woman, they're turned off by that. So I think we see a lot of that in terms of society as well.
The very masculine females are always so interesting to me. And see, growing up here in Chicago, I grew up with a lot of those very masculine females, and just to see them now as older people and just to see their masculinity, I'm like, oh wow, she really did turn into a little old man.
So crazy.
She really did turn into a little old man. See, I just live your life. But back in the day, coming up, there was either a lipstick lesbian, which both of you ladies would be, and then there was the the dude lesbian, like, girl, come lift this car for me. That type of right. So
the dom.
The dom. That's right. And same way with me in the same situation. But it's just so funny that now, I see a lot of the women who I grew up with back in the day. I have to give a big shout out to Pat and Vera. They used to be the #1 party host here for women's parties. And I used to just love going to their parties. Somebody said the butch. Yeah, that's right. The butch female. That's what it was. Yeah, the butch female. Let me see. Marguerite said Pose. Pose was another show. That's another thing before we run out of time, ladies. I want to talk about how mainstream media has embraced the LGBTQ community. We look at Pose. We look at P Valley. We look at a lot of these different things now that are high rating. What's the young man that everybody what's his name? And he hosts everything now too. And he show up to the red carpets with all these outlandish outfits on. Billy Porter. Billy Porter. So now more than ever, gay seems to be the new black, if that makes sense. And so what do you all feel about gay imagery in mainstream media?
I think it's long overdue. Again, when we talk about how we're perceived in the in society as a whole, it's like you want to. I've always felt that I'm a veteran. I was a medic in the Army, and I served under Don't Ask, Don't Tell. But I also felt like I was being used as a pawn, similar to what you were talking about in terms of the LGBTQ community in the church. I feel as though we're often still used as pawns because you only value the part of me that is beneficial to you. You want me to come and be the choir director and sing in the choir, and you want me to be the outreach director of the HIV and AIDS program, but you don't want to acknowledge my wife sitting with me in the pews. And so I just think that we're used as pawns, and I think that's changing. However, we still have a lot of work to do.
I was aligned with an organization that, whenever they gave tickets out to something, all the heterosexual men got an extra ticket to bring a date. I never was allowed 2 tickets.
What?
Oh yeah. I could put absolutely. But what they don't realize is that my power of who I was, the organizations would garner me 2 tickets. You get what I'm saying? So do me a favor. Keep that 1 ticket and stick it up your ass. You get what I'm saying? Right. Because the organization itself wants Chat Daddy and his guests there. But this particular group, all the straight men would get a ticket for their date, but me, I would get 1 ticket.
Wow.
Oh, I got emails with all that in it. You know what I'm saying? But that's how people are. That's how shady they are. And
but they wanted you there. It was important for you to be there.
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? It even got back that I didn't sit at their table.
What?
The people who gave me the 1 ticket, I know. Guess what? Because my 2 tickets was up in front.
Okay, thank you.
My two tickets was front row. My two tickets
Hmm.
was at the head table. You get what I'm saying? So,
Mm-hmm.
it's still a lot of prejudice, a lot of, and the funniest thing is I think a lot of it comes from our own people, our own race of
Absolutely.
people.
Absolutely.
And 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 and
100%.
and that's something that I think really needs to change. What warms my heart more than anything is when a lot of my friends, especially male friends, will call me and say, "Hey, we need you to come over to our house and have dinner one evening." And at first, I didn't know what that was about. Then all of a sudden, the teenage son walk in the room, and I said, "Oh, we got a little young. We got a little younger. Oh, I see. And so they would want me to sit there and try to help them to
Mhm.
understand, navigate. So I do appreciate a lot of my male friends
Right.
that have done that because, a lot of times people don't know how to navigate
They
this.
don't.
I think back to early 20s, people weren't as accepting as they are now. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Yeah. So, yeah. Monica, what else you want to add to this?
I would just implore people to just love unconditionally. Life is too
Mhm.
short, and if we haven't learned anything during these uncertain times of the pandemic, is that life is too short, and so you have to love people while they're here because tomorrow is not promised.
I agree with you 100%. Madam Rowe, add some more to this, my darling. And then I got to find out what made you go into burlesque. Rowe, you so fine, though. So I'm gonna be honest with you, Ro. I back in the day, when I was young and in my early years, I always joke about being a stripper, and then I tell people, I said, no, really, it was a burlesque dancer. But that's why
Yeah, all right.
I love P Valley. I love P Valley
I
because
love.
in my younger years, my life mirrored more of a P Valley lifestyle than
Mm.
it mirrored what I do
Mm.
and who I
That's a
am now.
whole nother show.
Maybe that's
That's
a
a
whole
whole
nother show.
nother show. That's a whole. Remember, I told you I lived in Atlanta, so.
Yes. So, in my younger years, it was not uncommon to be out with a bunch of strippers, trannies, as we would say back
Mhm,
then. It
mhm,
was
mhm.
not uncommon to be out. Some of the same people that would hand and pass them dollars to folks on the stage are some of the
Mhm.
same people I know in boardrooms right now. So,
Mhm, mhm.
or I've seen them at their lowest, and now they somebody of prominence, and so that's all interesting to me.
Mhm. What I have to add is I just want people to be themselves, your authentic
Mhm.
self, and like you said, Monica, about this time, and everybody has kind of been inside,
Mhm.
quarantined, and just we should be using this time to get to know ourselves and to
Mhm.
just hone who we are and love ourselves and love each other. That's it.
Absolutely,
And love
absolutely.
each other.
Uh-huh.
That's
Monica and I were talking earlier during the monologue at the beginning of the show that a report has come out saying that marriages are falling apart because of this pandemic and that dating has gone to hell too. Ro, I'm curious to know, where do you think dating will go now? Do you think, people will be quick to jump back into bed with each other, quick to get back out there? Because, again, a lot of people are unemployed, that disposable income for going out
right.
date, that's not there anymore. So what do you think about dating, as they would say, post COVID?
Well, I think people are forced to just go back to traditional kind of ways and just be more creative. Like you see people biking and skating. So I've gone on a lot of outings where I've rode bikes with people or maybe had a picnic or did
Mhm.
something just real simple things that we used to do before all of this phone, and we would just
Mhm.
go. It was slow and it was cute, and you got to know people, and then you knew whether you liked them or not. People's marriages are
Yes.
falling apart because they married people they don't like.
Girl, say it again. Say it again. Right.
They
Right.
don't like them.
Yep.
Yes.
That's why infidelity is so high, and that's why people out cheating and doing what they want to do. I told somebody, I said, look, COVID done shut all this down. As I joked early on in this show months ago, I said, well, booty calls will not come back until the governor said we at stage 6. And if I'm not mistaken, looked like
Yeah.
today he said something about stage 7. So y'all thought I was joking back then, but booty calls will not be back
That
until
is over,
stage
honey.
7. Baby, right? Booty calls is over. I don't know, Monica. I mean, we trying to get out here and mingle and meet somebody, but now, what do you think? Let's recap what you said earlier about dating. How you think it's gonna look?
It's interesting that we had that same conversation. And Ro just brought that up. I mean, we're forced to do traditional things that we no longer do anymore to get to know someone, to even assess if you like that person or not, like picnics and roller skating and, just things of that nature, that writing letters that we don't do anymore. I just think that's because there is no going back to normal. There is no normal. This is the new norm. And I think that we should be okay with that, because I think that we've lost so much in, technology and, just every day, like Rose said, just, doing, going. And you don't really get to know people. And I think that's important.
Wow, I couldn't agree more. Well, ladies, we got just a little bit more time left to tonight's show, but you ladies, and this is what I wanted to happen tonight. I wanted it to be truth. I wanted it to be funny, but I wanted to be where people would leave this conversation feeling a little bit more knowledgeable. And both of you all have just knocked it out the ballpark, because this is not an easy conversation to have. And I've been watching who's been watching us tonight, and people are still sticking around. So I just think it's good to have this type of dialogue, because all relationships are important and we want all relationships to be healthy. But I just think that, people look at same-sex relationships as demonic demons, or, we just don't know what we're doing, lust hounds and all of that. And no, actually, I think the best part of my life has actually been this part of my life. You get what I'm saying? If that makes sense. Yeah, it has been the best part of my life, and probably has presented me with some of the most kind and caring people. It's been a lot of frogs, you know what I'm saying? It's been a lot of frogs. Not that I don't necessarily like messing around with the frogs every now and then.
Frogs can be fun.
Baby, frogs can be fun. You gotta be careful of not getting warts. You know what I'm saying? You just gotta be careful of not getting them damn warts. But other than that, I wouldn't trade my life for anything. I listen to Lisa Stansfield, and she if I could change, I wouldn't change one single thing. And I tell people I feel that way about my preference selection. You get what I'm saying? So very good. Well, ladies, everybody find you, follow you, connect with you. You in this we all need
Can you hear me, Art? I think our connection is a little off.
The connection is off.
I can hear you. I can hear you now. The Wi-Fi is crazy. Can you hear me now better?
Yep.
Yes, now I can. Yes.
Okay. All right. So tell everybody how they can find you, connect with you, and
they can find me. My burlesque page is on IG. I am Kitty O Shea Butter. That is Did we lose him?
Oh no, we must have lost him on that one, bro.
Oh no, I knocked him out.
What is going on now?
You knocked him out, bro.
Yeah. Wait, Lord, right. Ro done said so much the show went off the air. Right. Ro, you right. You done canceled my show. Oh my God. Well, Ro, will you come back and hang out with me again one night?
Absolutely. This was a blast. I was so nervous, but
Yes.
this conversation was so just
Oh,
organic and
wonderful.
it just
Oh,
flowed. Thank you, Monica. Thank you, Art.
oh,
I
thank you, Ro.
appreciate the both of you.
Yeah, Monica, I said, Lord, poor thing. She just said, no. I said, Flo. I said, look, Ro, we have a good time on my show. We
Oh,
don't, yeah,
yeah.
we just have fun, tell it like it is. And okay, we back. People said we was having some problems. Okay. Thank
Mhm.
you guys. We appreciate you guys. Monica, darling, do what you do best and tell everybody about you and how we can find you, follow you in your book. Go right ahead.
You can find me at monicaandpickett.com. That's my website. In terms of Twitter and Facebook, you can find me at Monica Pickett, and Instagram, Pretty Monica Pickett. That's it.
All right. Well, ladies, this has been great. A lot of good
Thank
feed,
you, Art. Thank you
lot
so
of good
much, Art.
feedback.
Thank
Look,
you.
everybody is loving tonight's show. Pam said, look, it's the shea butter, baby. It's that shea butter.
Hey.
Wait, what's that? What's that?
Hey.
Wait, what's that burlesque name again? I love it.
Kitty O'Shea Butter.
Kitty
Ooh,
O'Shea
that's
butter.
cute, honey. Oh, I'm going to follow
Oh
you.
my, right. Me too. Look, me too. I'm so excited. Look, I feel like Uncle Clifford right now. Get on out there, Kitty O'Shea butter, and make that money. Make that money. Oh my God. Somebody else said they just love tonight's show. Oh,
Oh,
we
Yeah.
appreciate
wonderful.
you
Thank
guys. We
you.
do.
And
Well,
thank you, Art. You are such an
Thank you,
icon. I am
Art.
so humbled every time you invite me back. Thank you so much.
look, ladies, I love
I love
you.
you. You stuck with me now, Art.
I got you, boo. I got you. Look, I had to pivot, and in pivoting, you've got to create new show, new content, new people. I watch people on social media. I watch what they do, and when I extend that invite to be co-host and people accept or to be a guest, I'm just honored because people don't really have to do this and share their lives and talk about things, but it's to help other people. And I select beautiful people to present their stories. You know what I'm saying? In their
Oh, we're just a
circumstances.
reflection of you, Art. I'm so humbled and honored. Thank you so much.
Indeed.
Ladies, I love you.
Indeed.
I really
Love
do.
you
Well,
too.
thank you. Well, on behalf of what's the burlesque name again?
Kitty
Oh, he
O'Shea
like he
Butter.
just like hearing you say it, bro. He just like,
On behalf of Kitty O'Shea Butter, our guest
Kitty O'Shea.
tonight. Kitty O'Shea Butter, our guest tonight. That's right. And on behalf of the fabulous Miss Monica M. Pickett, her mama is the best chicken fryer on the East Coast.
yes, she is.
Uh, Look, Ro, we're gonna have to. The mama can cook, baby. The mama, one of them old
Oh,
school fryers. Yes,
I'm
yes,
ready. Say
yes.
the word. We
Yeah,
Yeah.
she
coming,
changed the
Monica.
oil and everything, honey. She changes
And
the
wait,
oil.
and let me tell you one thing. Ro ain't no bigger than this and can eat, baby. That's what I love. She ain't no bigger than this, and Ro can eat. She's a
That probably goes
real
to my
eater. She a real eater, baby. She right. So look, me and Ro gonna take a road trip. Oh, everybody's just saying thank you for tonight's show. Oh, this is so wonderful. Yeah, this is a great show. All right, ladies and gentlemen, as you guys all know, this is my Friday. But as I said, when we come back Monday night, we're gonna talk about readiness. September is National Readiness Month. Do you and your family have a readiness kit available? If something was to happen, are you able to escape out your house? Do you have things together? We were joking earlier about my purse. Everything under the sun is in my man bag. I kid you not. Anything you need is right there. And I have another great week of shows planned next week. I have next Thursday, we're going to have a really good expert on to talk about male and female relationships and the 50-50 factor. So on behalf of Madam Rowe, and Madam Monica, we want to say thank you guys so very much. Have a safe, wonderful weekend. I love you
And wear your
guys.
mask. Wear your mask.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Oh, yeah. Wear your
We
mask.
forgot to do that. I didn't bring a mask in here tonight, but listen, everybody, wear your mask. Sanitize. Let me show you how to sanitize. Soap and water is the best way to go. If you don't have soap and water, please use sanitizer. Don't forget to social distance. That's so important, you guys. I know you want to be up on people. Really, I can use a cuddle buddy right about now because it's getting cold. But you know, we don't have to do what we need to do. And here's what we always say on this show: if you're not feeling well, keep your ass at home. How about that?
Amen.
Keep your ass at home.
Amen.
Keep your ass at home. All right. Well, we love you guys. We
Thank you,
signing
Art.
out.
Thank you,
Thank you
bro.
so much. I'll see you in a little bit, Ro. Thank you. Monica, I'll see you in just a little bit. Thank you, ladies. I love you. And ladies and gentlemen, evening. I appreciate you guys so much. Don't forget to visit my website, realchatdaddy.com. You guys have been there. Please do so. Also, do me a favor and go over to YouTube. Subscribe to the Real Chat Daddy Show. It's very easy and simple. It does not cost you anything. And I appreciate you guys for doing that. Also, go to Facebook and subscribe to the Real Chat Daddy Show as well, too. I love you guys so much. Have a wonderful night, y'all.